What if the fastest way to lose the person you love is to try too hard to keep them? Most of us are taught that intimacy means having no walls. But for Leo and Maya, it was a single, unbreakable boundary that finally saved their marriage from the brink of extinction. Meet Leo and Maya. They had been married for 8 years, and to an outsider, they were the perfect unit. Leo was a civil engineer, logical, structured, and a natural pursuer. He believed that in a marriage, you share everything, every thought, every password, every minute of free time. Maya was a freelance illustrator, creative, sensitive, and someone who required a mental sanctuary to thrive. When they first met, Leo's attentiveness felt like a warm embrace. He was always there. He was always interested. He was always on. But as the years passed, that embrace began to feel like a grip. Leo didn't realize that his constant need for closeness was actually an invasion. He would walk into her studio without knocking. He would look over her shoulder while she was texting a friend. He thought he was being invested. Maya, on the other hand, began to shrink. She felt like she was living under a microscope. Every time she tried to take a solo walk or spend an evening alone, Leo would ask, "Is everything okay? Did I do something wrong? Why don't you want to be with me?" The dynamic became a classic anxious-avoidant trap. The more Maya pulled away to find air, the more Leo panicked and chased her. He was suffocating her with love, and she was starving for self. They were roommates sharing a bed, but the air between them was static with unspoken resentment. The first real crack happened on their 8th anniversary. Leo had planned a surprise weekend, a jam-packed itinerary of every activity he thought they should enjoy together. But when he presented the plan, Maya didn't smile. She burst into tears. "Leo, I just want one day where I don't have to report to you. I just want to be alone. Is that so much to ask?" Leo was devastated. He felt rejected. He felt like she was pulling away because she didn't love him anymore. He asked the one question that always makes things worse. "Are you seeing someone else?" The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was a void. Maya didn't answer. She just walked out the door with a small bag, leaving Leo in a house that suddenly felt much too big. Was she leaving him for good, or was she just trying to find the woman he had slowly erased? For 3 days, Leo heard nothing. He checked the Find My Phone app, a boundary he had crossed 100 times before, but this time, for the first time, the location was turned off. But then, he received a link from an anonymous email address. It wasn't a ransom note or a lawyer's letter. It was a link to a digital diary, a series of sketches Maya had made over the last year. What happened next was a brutal awakening for Leo. As he scrolled through the images, he didn't see another man. He saw himself portrayed as a giant looming shadow that blotted out the sun in every drawing. He saw Maya depicted as a small bird in a cage made of "I love you" notes. He realized that his closeness was a cage. His attentiveness was surveillance. Leo wanted to call her. He wanted to apologize. He wanted to promise to change. But he stopped. He realized that calling her now would just be more chasing. It would be another invasion. He decided to do the hardest thing an anxious partner can do, the silent retreat. He stopped texting. He stopped checking her social media. He even moved his things into the guest room. He began to set his own boundaries. He started a hobby he had neglected. He started to build a life that didn't revolve entirely around Maya's moods. Weeks went by. The house was quiet. Leo felt a strange mixture of agony and peace. He was learning that he was a whole person without her. But the question remained, would she ever want to come back to a house where she finally had the space to leave? Maya returned on a Tuesday afternoon. She didn't announce her arrival. She just walked in and found Leo in the garage, covered in sawdust, working on a bench. She expected him to jump up, to smother him with questions, to demand to know where she'd been. But Leo just looked up, nodded, and said, "Hey, glad you're back. I'm just finishing this up. Give me 20 minutes?" That evening, they sat on the porch. The distance between them was literal, 3 feet of wooden bench, but for the first time in years, the tension was gone. "You didn't call." "I realized that if I forced you to talk, I wasn't really hearing you. I needed to respect the no so that your yes would actually mean something." In that moment, a massive shift occurred. By respecting her boundary, Leo had become something he hadn't been in years: attractive. Because he was no longer a needy shadow, he became a man with his own center. Maya didn't feel the urge to run. She felt the urge to lean in. She realized that she didn't want to leave the marriage. She just wanted to leave the version of herself that lived in his pocket. They finally found the unexpected key. Attraction doesn't grow in a vacuum of total fusion. It grows in the space between two separate, self-respecting people. They didn't go back to the perfect unit. They built something better, a partnership of 2 individuals. Leo learned to knock. Maya learned to invite him in. They realized that a no to a shared activity isn't a no to the relationship. It's a yes to the person performing the activity. They sold the big, hollow house and moved into a place with 2 separate workspaces. The boundaries they once feared became the very walls that kept their love safe. Leo realized that by letting go of her hand, he had finally won her heart. We often think that intimacy is about total transparency, but true attraction requires mystery. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They are gates that allow the right people in at the right time. When you respect your partner's need for space, you aren't pushing them away. You are giving them the room they need to choose to come back to you. Leo saved his marriage by finally doing nothing. Do you think you could have the discipline to stop chasing someone you're afraid to lose? Or do you think some boundaries are just a slow way of saying goodbye? Let's talk about it in the comments.